El Maestro speaks.
El Maestro Speaks.
El Maestro speaks.
Podcast.
When the sun goes down on my side of town, the lonesome feeling comes to
All right. Hello, 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 hello. It happened again. Oh, guys, I just do for a record here. Uh, this is the second recording of this episode.
where I sit alone and think of losing you. I spent
It happened again.
beneath the light
Well,
of
at least I can count it with my one hand. On my one hand, the instances were in. even I've been talking now. I've been talking like for like 30, 15 minutes. And I was looking at the timer and why is it not blinking red over there in the corner? And I noticed that I did not press record, or I did press it. I tapped on it twice, so it stopped. And I thought I was recording, but I was not.
shadow. All of this will feel true.
Well, so how was everybody anyway?
And tears sadly cry. How many lives have I lied?
Yeah, today is March 29. It's supposed to be. I was supposed to record the episode yesterday.
Long as there's
Well, I don't know, I was tired. But I promised myself I'll be doing this weekly, so here I am with you guys. Okay, make us the background of whatever you're doing, and let's just talk about things here in Baguio and in the Cordillera and around the world. Yeah, the background music that I was using, I'm sorry about this. Those are all the cover songs I have recorded for the past years. The reason is I had during the pandemic I was doing a solo podcast because the early days of I was doing it is I don't have a background music, and then I do post editing on it. I just put some free music from the video editing software, and that's it. Okay, but when I decided to do it in this setup, like just record it, no editing, just check if the audio is good, insert the commercials, I mean the AdWords. I decided to have some background music on. So, well, we know about the copyright, right? So what I did is I searched some free or non-copyrighted music in YouTube, and those are the ones that I used as a background. The problem is after 3-4 years, there was a notification that is sent to my email saying that those those background music are now copyrighted. Ow.
places that I've never been. Seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get
Yeah,
home.
that is a little bit frustrating. And I don't know if Spotify has taken down some of the episodes that I did using those accordingly non-copyrighted music. So I decided to just do this. Yeah, there's some part of it that is, especially if I upload this on YouTube, and they'll say that it is copyrighted, but won't affect your content. It says there, so yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah. So, like I said, March 29 tomorrow is the graduation of most of there's schools here in the Philippines, right? So for those who are going to graduate, what are you gonna say? Congratulations. And yeah, connected to that are those people who will be receiving an award, right? Graduating or not, people will be receiving an award. And congratulations. Congratulations to you guys.
Just go wake up on your
Yeah, though, yeah, I was looking at that, speaking of award. I saw a post. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's real because looking at the picture, it would look like it is AI created of a woman who shouted that her son has no medal and he was crying and the child is crying too. Because according to the story, um, she saw how the child sacrificed doing all the projects, burning the late candle, okay, just finished projects, sleeping late to finish assignments and the likes, and at the end, he didn't receive a medal or an award. So yeah, they were frustrated. If it really happened, it's understandable. It's part of it, being frustrated. But I don't think it would be necessary that you will voice it out in front of public, like, like you're trying to blame the teacher for it.
You're all I need.
I'm not defending the teacher here because I'm a teacher, but it is, I don't know, it's not necessary if it really happened, right? I think that's one of the reasons why nowadays there's a lot of awards. Teachers would give awards to an award of participation and everything, right? Participatory award, like at times they would invent an award just to give an award. And in my opinion, again, and this is my opinion, I'm not married to my opinion. My opinion changes depending on the data that I will encounter, on the experience, on the analysis, or the rebuttals of people I will be having conversations with. Okay, and if I analyze things and can understand other people's perspective, then perhaps my opinion might change. But as of now, my opinion is this.
Say that you'll be there.
We are watering down the essence of award. Right? Well, I understand the reason. It is a positive reinforcement, a positive motivation. We have to boost their confidence. So they will try harder, they will work harder. Is it really? Or it's doing the opposite. We're giving an award to a work that has less effort in it, and to the child's understanding, it does not really matter whether you work hard or not, because at the end of the day, you will be receiving an award.
You're all I need when we're apart. You're all I need.
Yeah, it can happen like that too. That can also be the result, right?
You're all I want.
Yeah, back during our day, and we should not be saying this now. Accordingly, we should not be saying this because our time is past. But back in the day, there were only three, I guess, three awards, three or four, like one first honors, second honor, and two with honors, and that's it. aside from those behavioral awards like best in best in attendance. I think the only one I got is the neatest pupil, and that's the only one I got, I guess. Yeah, yeah. My mom is, yeah. My mom always sees to it that I am prim and proper when I go to school, so that's why I'm the neatest pupil. But yeah, those are the awards are few back then, and then fast forward 20, 40 years later, you schools are giving award to almost everything, right? And again, like I said, that waters down the essence of giving an award. You know, you don't need to. Okay? Of course, we have to acknowledge those who worked hard. Okay, those who are the um those who are on the top. But that's it. That's it. In my opinion, that's it. You don't need to give all people just to give a positive reinforcement to boost their confidence to try harder. I wouldn't think that would do that. I would think that if you give an award to student who didn't exert too much effort, it will do the opposite. Instead of boosting their confidence, it will make them lazy, you know? And instead of boosting their confidence, you will boost their ego. And they will think that they deserve everything that is in this world instead of working for it. You know, that would create future leaders or generation that is so entitled that they think that they deserve everything regardless of effort. You know? So yeah, I think that's the product of giving an award to those who does not deserve it. Yeah.
This is where the cowboy rides
I think I'm gonna reflect on this one also. Yep. So giving an award, right? Okay. So why just let our children experience failure in their life? Say, for example, they're dreaming to have an award, but they were not able to. Consider the failure. Let them experience that. Let them experience the pain. You know, all of your experiences are super necessary. Okay? Those negative experiences, everything, it's part of the journey. It's part of growing up. And it for sure, it's going to teach you something in your life. Yeah, of course, it's painful. It's painful to fail, right? But okay, there's a lesson there. Okay, and you will only learn those lessons if you will learn to go through that pain, to face the pain, and do not stay on it. Do not thrive on that pain. This should be the way on how you handle things. Okay, say for example, you experience a failure now, of course, who was the feeling of it? Of course, it's painful. Yep. Yeah, you can cry. Do whatever you can or whatever you do in facing negative emotions. You can cry.
I spent most every night beneath the light.
But after that, after crying, after dealing with the pain that the experience brought to you, are you going to stay there? Or are you going to move forward? Of course, we are to move forward. And as time goes by, as you remember that experience, it should not traumatize you. It should not bring back the pain. You equate it to having a cut. Of course, first time you got the cut, of course, it's going to bleed. Right? Yeah. Deal with it. Okay. Apply pressure. What are the first aid of having a cut? Apply pressure, put some band-aid, sanitize it. You, it's gonna be painful. Yeah, deal with the pain. But after such time, okay, the healing process begun. Okay? And as the healing process goes, once you see the scar, of course you remember, oh, I got cut here, but you won't be able to remember the pain anymore, right? Right? But you know it's painful. Same is true with failure. Okay? As time goes by, you remember, oh, yeah, it's not good, but it should not traumatize you. Instead, it should give you a lesson in life. That you gotta work harder. You know, that there are things that you should do and you should not do. And you know, those are the effective, the most effective teachers. Are yeah, experiences, negative experiences are the most effective teachers in teaching us life. Okay, so there is a reason why we need to experience those negative experiences.
Oh, but I'll be alright. As long as this night gonna be around. If you
Yeah, cut it short. Failure is part of the journey.
listen here for going
Yeah, it's gonna teach you something.
dreams that
If you fail, don't stop there. You try again. Oh, this is starting to become a motivational speech, but yeah, we're sharing it to you guys. You know,
often
don't stop. Try again, and try again, and try again, and try again, and try again. You know, that's how you get through life. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, while I do say and I agree that there must be a clear and easily understandable and transparent guideline on how you choose those who will be receiving an award, and of course, all of those should be considered, all of the child's effort should be considered in choosing students who will be receiving an award. I would not also agree that we should give all pupils an award. You know? No. Yeah. You should not water down the essence of award. Failure is part of the journey. It is super necessary for your growth. You know? Yeah.
it's such a feeling that my love I can die, I can die, I can die.
And yeah, I just remember this one. There was this, I could say it's a podcast. Maybe it's a talk show, just like my show. And there was this question that the host asked: if you have the power to change everything in your past life, okay, what would it be? What are you going to change? And one of the guests said, well, I would like to change all the negative experiences that I experienced. Those, let's say the word traumatic, those traumatic experiences that I had. But if erasing them would mean that the lessons I learned from those negative experiences will also be erased, then I would change nothing. That's what she said. That is what she said. And I was just like, wow, that is deep. Yeah, that is deep. Okay. So, yeah, she understood that those negative experiences brought her to where she is now, right? A famous actress, a famous director, famous businesswoman, I should say. And she was able to achieve that because of those experiences, negative and bad, that she has to go through in her past life. She learned lessons from those. And she remembered that maybe if I would erase those negative experiences, all the lessons that I learned from it will be erased also. And I wouldn't like to do that. I would rather have that negative experience, those negative experiences, and have the lesson that I got from them than to lose them. And I was thinking, oh yeah, that is right. I guess, uh, people in the age bracket that I am in now, there are times that we reflect and then we say, oh, if I could change, if I can turn back time, if I could turn back time, I would change that. But yeah, we sometimes forget that through those negative experiences, through those experiences that we want to change, we have learned a lot from that. It made us better. It made us stronger, right? It made us scarred. Okay? It gave us the scar. It gave us bad memories, but it made us be here. It made us stronger, right? So, yeah, I wouldn't, I wouldn't change a thing. I would rather look back on those experiences and then say, what lesson did I learn from this? Right? That's what we should do. You know, you know, what lesson did we learn from this? Again, okay. So, yeah, award. Going back to award. Let's not water down the essence of award. And yeah, to the children, it's part of it. Failure is part of living. Like I always told this, it's a little bit over the top. One would say, and I always teach this to young people. And my thinking is that it would be better for them to know it earlier than to know it later. Okay? It would be better for them to know that life isn't fair. You have to work hard. You have, because if life is fair, then everyone should be born with great appearance, with great brain, with big amount of money. But no, most of us are not. Some are, but not all. So yeah, life isn't fair. Okay, you gotta start where you came from, work, and deal with whatever life's gonna throw to you. That's it. That's it. You know. And do not compete with others. Compete with yourself. You know. Strive on making yourself better. Yeah. It's a graduation message now. Now this episode has become a graduation message. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. You know. Okay. Strive to be the better version of yourself. Okay. Yep. Work on it. Life is meritocracy. You gotta work hard to achieve something. Okay, to some it's not, but still, those people have to work to get something they would also want. Yeah. Different scenarios, different situations, but it's the same. It's the same. Everyone is struggling.
I unplug the telephone and keep the TV
Yep.
on.
So what's happening, or what happened this past week? Yeah. You know, there's another controversy. Right? Yeah. Just leave this award thing, and yeah, life lessons from El Maestro. Let's go to gossips. You know, remember the guy, the Southern cowboy who got in trouble for saying a joke in one of the Buloy event back 2 months ago. Well, apparently he's in another trouble now, saying the same thing during a funeral. Oh, by the way, rest in peace and happy trails to one of the singer of the Cordilleras, Mr. Ivan Rufino, and my condolences to the family. Apparently, this guy, the Southern Cowboy, went to that place to pay respect to the singer, of course. But then during his speech, he said, and I'm quoting some news that I read here. I was not there. But apparently, he asked a lady who is married to a foreigner if he has a kid. The lady said no. And accordingly, he asked if the lady wanted help. Yeah, of course, it drew negative reaction again. Yes, thinking that you're going to say that again in a funeral. That is not a comedy bar. That's a wake. Well, I do not have any reaction. I was not there, but let's just take it piece for piece here. What was said and what was not said. So he said, "You want help." Okay, now that's it. No elaboration at all. So, as a listener, it is really up for your own interpretation. Would How would you interpret that thing? And that's what's happening now. The social media, everyone is interpreting it as um him offering a sexual help, maybe, or a I don't know. It is they're interpreting it in a negative way. Okay, which is again what was my question is what was said. He just said, "Want some help?" So he can easily refute that and say, "I was talking about like this, like I know a doctor so and so like that," and yeah, he can just say that. He can just say that, and it can it can pass through. Yeah, you know, because he didn't utter any negative word. Well, it is negative in our perception because of the past event that happened. But if you are going to just cut it through that situation in that funeral, then that without meaning looking at the past controversy, you would not think anything. Okay. Maybe you would think like, oh, maybe he's offering. Maybe some people would think um, about that thing, even think about it negatively, but some of also will think, oh, what does he mean by that? Does he know a doctor? Something like that, you know, without looking at the past experience. So again, looking at what was said, what was not said. I have not watched whether he made a reaction on this or a post on this. What I saw are screenshots of him saying the the Facebook page who posted the news is biased. I don't know. But then again, that's where I am. Okay. What was said and what was not said. Well, if you are going to interpret it negatively, then you will say, oh, he okay. That's not okay. But if you're going to interpret in a way that, what do you mean by that? You can just ask him again. And, yeah, it ended there, ended there. And it's very difficult for you to like prove that he means something lascivious or he means something sexual, because you know nothing was said about that. Nothing was said about the help being sexual. He just said, want some help, which is very open to interpretation. You can interpret it either way. So yeah, that's my point of view about that thing. Anyway, uh, the only thing I can say about this guy, wow, he really likes helping. Yeah. Um, I guess a message for you, for you, my man, is that yeah, just never offer help in the category. Never offer help in the category because apparently people don't like it. People in the Cordillera don't like it. So stop offering your help. Yeah. And another issue about him, yeah, is about those talent fees. I don't know. Those are issues that only those popular vloggers here in the Cordilleras can chime in. I don't want to chime in that one. Yeah, I only want to okay, um share my point of view on what happened during the funeral, because the times, um well, like I said, hindsight is all 2020. If we include emotion, and I've been preaching this like for quite a long time, I almost want to make a video back then when I saw this, but then looking at it again, I just started to read again, and then was realizing who was. My first question was what was exactly said and what was not said. So you are not able to analyze that if if your mind is clouded with emotion. If you're already angry, you're already mad. Yeah, it's really difficult to see things through. So, well, it's an advantage for me because I was not there, was not related to whoever, to the woman to whom he said that thing. So I have a bias. I was able to think outside the box, but yeah, that's how I see these things. So yeah, what he said is open to interpretation, and whatever. Like I said, I would suggest for him to stop offering his help. In our local language, masyadong matulungin tong tao. Nagtulong lang na lang. Yeah.
And who will be there to catch you if you fall?
The price of oil is still getting higher. Another increase expected next week. Yeah, that reminds me, I forgot to go to the gasoline station now. Stayed at the house for the whole day. And yeah, it's a disaster for those who are outside the country. But I guess most of the countries in around the world is affected with this, right? Yeah, and it's really a disaster for people here. Um, this morning I was looking at, because we're living near the Igorot Stone Kingdom here. I was looking at the parking space for people going at Igorot Stone Kingdom, and usually back in the day, I mean before the increase of the oil prices, you would see the parking full to the brim, like it's so full. All the parking spaces are full. But this morning we can count like 5 vans. Still, there are people going to the Igorot Kingdom, but you can only count few vehicles in the parking space. So you will really see that tourism here in Baguio City is affected because of that too. Imagine here in Baguio City we are paying like almost 150 pesos for a liter of diesel. So, yeah, expected to go higher next week. Yeah, that reminds me that I have to go top up tomorrow after work. You know. Yep. Yeah, we got nothing to do here but to, it's like leave it to fate. Pray everything is gonna be fixed. You know. So yeah, that's what has been happening today. What can I say about the actions of government? It's a dilly-dally action. Like what I was saying to my companion a while ago. Um, they know the reason why they really love Duterte here in the Philippines. When he said he's gonna go after drug lords, yeah, it happened. Okay. And a lot of people will say, a lot of people in social, in the middle class, in the lower class, a lot of them will say that, yeah, they feel safer walking at night when the drug war happened, because the criminals get scared. Finally, there is a language coming from the government that they can now understand. The government speaking their language, so to speak. So, yeah, they got scared. And, yeah, people saw that. That's why the political power of Duterte is still here. Um, the tactic of using poverty is a campaign theme is so outdated because people, politicians have been using that as the campaign theme for like decades, since the start of the 1987 Constitution, and nothing was changed. So people wouldn't believe it now. People would not believe it, but they felt security during that, and it was promised to them. So they kind of, they kind of excused him because he promised like 6 months of it, and it's all be gone. But no, the he was not able to like solve the drug problem like until it was totally and completely gone now. But he was able to make people feel that they are secured, right? That is why their name is still strong now. Now, if the people from the other side of the political aisle is able to produce something similar to that effect, then they have a chance to beat the Duterte's name. But if they will still cling to like using poverty as a theme for their campaign, like lifting up the, no, people are tired hearing that already. They've been hearing it for generations, so they are not gonna believe it. You know. So yeah, there's that. The actions of the government for this crisis is, you can see indecisiveness. People don't have a good decision. There's no good decision making. It is a back and forth movement. They don't know how. There's no tangible solution how to do it. Like, say, for example, giving, what they call that one, a dole out. And instead of using the money to, instead of using the money to subsidize the price of the oil, what they did is they used the money to give subsidy, give financial help. But then in giving the financial help, you still have to go through some filtering. You have to be filtered out. How do you call that one? You have to submit some requirements, which is an additional job. And I keep on saying this: if you create a system that has a lot of moving parts, it's gonna fail. And yeah, it's equated to that one. Okay. Giving a dole out, that one has a lot of process. That's a lot of moving parts. You have to screen people you would be giving the dole out. You would have the screen, you have the papers. Or there's a lot of moving part as compared to use the money to subsidize the price. I think that's simpler. They didn't go for that. Again, because they're trying to use this one, they're trying to save this as their political weapon when election comes. Again, it's obvious. It's obvious. Whether they're going to deny it, it's still obvious. So, yeah. I am not appreciative of the action of the government. Yeah. So the only thing that we can do here is just pray that this thing that's happening in the Middle East will be over soon. You know, that's the only hope that we have. A miracle. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we cannot depend on this government. Yeah, and that's just my opinion. Anyway, so see you next week. Hopefully next week we can log in a conversation with the great people here in Benguet. So God bless to each and every one of you. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
El Maestro speaks.
El Maestro Speaks
El Maestro speaks.
Podcast.